Okay then, so here we are at the British Rental Car Championship. It's round 2, heat 6, and in this race, well, it's going to be an interesting lineup here. What we've got, Adam Davis, who we saw earlier on, in fact last year, he managed second place. Matt Bartsch, we've got Calum Conway, we've got Jim Lovell, Patryk Nieroda, Arrom Pullan, Joris Sturm, and Ben Churchill with Phillipe Denooz. So this is going to be quite an interesting heat, this. Richard Jute is in there as well, so Richard Jute out on track. We've seen him win twice here, but interesting with Richard Jute, his speciality is on the normal circuit with the snail section, tends to struggle on the revised one times he's been racing here, so we'll see how he does, but potentially he's a winner all day long if we were using the ordinary snail section course, but we'll see what happens here. So they're out now for their warm-up lap, and the qualifying laps are actually underway. So we'll see what happens as the first carts come through. Obviously, we're expecting potential pole position from maybe Matt Bartsch, Richard Jute, Joris Sturm is in here as well. And so we'll see what they do. Patryk Nieroda is never slow. So we'll see what goes on here. Well, a lot of time to coming in. Calum Conway sets the pace. Matt Bartsch has gone to the front. Matt Bartsch in the front. It's still Matt Bartsch. Jim Lovell's up there. Joris Sturm is behind Bartsch. It's still looking good for Bartsch. Churchill puts a time on the board, but it's still Bartsch. Denooz has come in second, but still Matt Bartsch in the lead. And Patryk Nieroda, they were the danger people. Richard Jute now, what can Richard Jute do here? His name's coming up. Surely he's going to be the next one to record a time. No, Richard Jute's actually well down the order with a 34.4, and it is Matt Bartsch who's going to begin the race in the pole position there. So, well, the Polish driver, he's always very strong, and he's definitely strong when he's starting from first place. Patryk Nieroda in second. Incredible performance there by Phillipe Denooz, the Belgian driver. Spanners, what can we read into this?
Obviously, you know, I'm just catching up on the drama of Bartsch's earlier heat and not getting into the pits in time. So very disappointing for him, because even if he wins the next 4 races, he's still in a little bit of trouble points-wise.
Absolutely, it's got to be said, this is the perfect response to such a problem, isn't it? Sticking your cart on pole and obviously then trying to convert that into a win. He's got Patryk Nieroda behind him. That could be quite a tough proposition, though. Yeah,
well, you've got to fancy him, though, haven't you? Because like you said, he's put that behind him, and he's not unused to winning round here. And he was very strong. He was in the final last year, wasn't he? I can't remember exactly where he finished.
He's always a tough old competitor, Patryk Nieroda. If we just look towards the right of that picture, we can see in the red and white helmet, that's Jim Lovell. And with Jim Lovell, he's quite high up the order there, a bit higher than expected. He's a two-wheel man who's from the South Coast karting, way down with George Lovell's also competing here, his brother.
Wait, he karts with a cart with only 2 wheels?
Well, when he's going around the corners, yeah. But he's actually a motorcycle racer normally. And now he's switching to this indoor karting. Pretty good performance by him. We saw him do well earlier on, and we'll see what happens in this race. Adam Davis, though, is looking to get a whole ton of points out of this one. He's been looking for a semi-final place if he could get it. He's, you know, obviously strong competitor locally, but this is the British Rental Car Championships, and it's always a tough proposition to do well here.
He's from a bit of a bonkers northern team. You can't write them off, can you?
Never write them off.
Great commentary, by the way, from Steve earlier.
Yeah.
Sat here with you.
He's a good boy. But we've got Matt Bartsch, who's about to lead him out. They're just getting the final ones into position, just making sure everything's all right. Looks like a little bit of a hold-up with one of the carts. They're just checking something over. That's the 15. That's Adam Davis, who we've just been talking about. So Adam Davis down from Blackpool. He's part of a team with Steve Gray. They had that memorable first and second a couple of years ago, and that was really outstanding.
That was last year, yes. They worked very well together.
It was Adam Davis who was second out of that when they got a 1-2, but well, it looks like he's not really taking up position, because he's expecting to take up position on the back of that lineup, not, you know, 3 or 4 car lengths behind. So everyone should be starting nose to tail, but the fact that Adam Davis is back there suggests something's going on. Could we be seeing a kart swap?
Oh, well, what happens now then? If they swap karts here, are they just going to make everybody
What they'll do
wait?
is they'll just bring that one round, get him into another one in the pits, he'll drive around and park up on the back.
Well, that's service, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be as straightforward as
You
that.
don't get that in F1, even back in the T-car days. Didn't have someone come and drive it round for you.
So, It's going to be Matt Bartsch at the front. We're just waiting to see what's happening with Adam Davies. Matt Bartsch, we know, had a massive problem earlier on. He just left it too late to make the pit stops. You leave it too late. You can't pit on the first lap and you can't pit on the last lap. Bartsch, unfortunately, left it late enough that he was forced to pit on the last lap. And he managed to turn what was going to be a win into, shall we say, further down the order. So Matt Bartsch looking to undo that. The fact that the championship has been so up and down this year, there's been some people with some epic results and some others who haven't scored as well, means that generally it's a little bit more even. So he might get away with that more than he might have in the past. But obviously, you know, getting bundled down the order on missing your pit stop is not something that's going to be good.
So what's causing people to not have the mighty consistency that they might have had last year? Is it this new layout? Is it?
No, it's just everybody else is doing very well. There's star turns coming from the most unexpected quarters. It's not like there's a problem and someone's taking advantage of it. It's just like somehow some people are putting lap times in and race results in that you don't normally associate with them. And so what it means is just a lot more even as a result of that. Everyone's got better and some have got really better.
I was watching the practice times on Friday, and certainly the guys who ran weighted, there was a lot of guys like 0.8, 0.8, 0.8, 0.8, 0.9, and there was maybe 15 guys up in that leading pack, and you thought, this is going to be really tight. It's going to be less predictable, apart from Rubin, obviously.
Well, he wasn't really up there, was he? Because he was only 11th. So he was probably one of those thinking, hang on, this is a bit serious.
He's saving it. He's fooling us all.
And that's exactly what's happened, because he won earlier on. He's going to be out later on. He's not in this race. Which one's he in? I think he might be coming up fairly soon. No, it's a little bit later on, but we'll see. We'll see if his earlier win was a fluke, basically, Spanners. Is that right?
Yeah. Let's see if he's just being a chancer. You know, five years of flukes. Although I don't see it. You do see him here. He is the king of Brkc.
Well, he is, and he's a king of a lot of places, actually. He's had an outstanding year. He backed up his world championship. He's now a double world champion. He I think won the championship in Belgium. He recently won that Racehall Race of Champions one, and so he really is on top form. As top form as he's ever been, is Ruben Boutens.
So who's your favourite here? Who do you like the most?
Well, I don't have anyone I like the most,
it's a lie.
but there's some that you know you've got favourites for results. I actually like everyone. A lot of them are my personal friends over the years. So
Bartsch is very smiley, isn't he? Very positive.
Oh yeah, he's always speaks well and kind of enjoys it. And there he is, just heading on round now. He's in that yellow and orange helmet. He's going to make the start, but he's also making the pace. Now, when he hits the throttle, it's going to be important. He's going to try and catch Nieroda out a little bit if he can. Well, he's pulled half a kart length, which is about as big a catch out as you could ever really hope for. It's fairly clean going in because there's potential for a lot of accidents there. And Nieroda's already had a shot at him, and that's exactly what they were fearing. And Nieroda's side, there's a lot of coming together there. It's really backing up behind, and this plays exactly into the hand of one Matthias Bartsch.
That was a really good effort from Nieroda, and he had to really fight to keep his kart pointing forward, so good effort.
It was a good, brave effort, and I'm glad someone's tried it, but unfortunately it's turned into an example of why nobody else has done it. You know, it's why the deals have been made. We've seen a lot of that, but Matt Bartsch has a big lead. Nieroda has managed, luckily, to hang on to his second place. His lunge on Bartsch is what's caused that gap, but luckily it's not cost him from his point of view. Running in third is Phillipe Denooz. We saw Denooz there was in second place for a while on the qualifying, but he's looking very good now, and a bit of a surprise being up in third place. But he's there with Nieroda, and there's a bit of a gap to Joris Sturm, and so on down the order. Spanners, this is already looking very good for Matt Bartsch.
Well, Nieroda's under pressure there coming into the back straight, and after an incident like that where you're a bit sideways and you've come under pressure, can you compose yourself and get back in the fight? And he's under a lot of pressure from Denooz.
Well, he will be, yeah, because Denooz, I think, was obviously liking that provisional second place earlier on. He will have seen that a while before Nieroda came through, so on the screens around the track. So he'll have been looking at that one and seen a provisional second. In the pits already, though, 13, it looks like Calum Conway. Now, Calum Conway was driving brilliantly earlier on, and this could either be inspired or kill it for him.
Yeah, Denooz not able to get that same run down the back straight that he had after that incident, because he really did have a run down the outside, but I don't think we'll see many people hooking it round the outside of that hairpin at the end of the back straight. No,
it doesn't really work as a general rule, but trying to drag somebody out there by making them think you're going to do it seems to be the order of the day. Obviously, Nieroda recomposed now. If Denooz was going to do something, the earlier the better, and the longer he leaves it, the more composed Nieroda's going to be. But Matt Bartsch continues to streak ahead. He's now got something in the region of two-second lead, half second back to Denooz, but Joris Sturm is now starting to have a bit of a group form up behind him, and that group includes Arrom Pullan and Jim Lovell, and this could be very interesting. And behind them will be Ben Churchill and Richard Jute. Richard Jute surprisingly well down the order, although we've never seen him go particularly well on any revised layout. Normal layout with the snail section, he's one of the best.
So Bartsch isn't disappearing, and there is a sort of general change in that battle for second and third, where you say, are we going to keep kicking lumps out of each other here, or are we going to get on and catch Bartsch?
Well, I think they're looking at getting on and catching Bartsch, to be fair, because it's not like they're banging into each other. You know, Denooz is sort of almost in a watching situation now. He's got a cart length behind Nieroda. Nieroda has sort of recovered emotionally, obviously, from his earlier moment with Bartsch, and he's actually starting to close it in. It's coming down ever so slightly, so maybe Patryk Nieroda is going to be able to close in this gap. Now, the best thing for Denooz is going to be dragged along with that, and as you said, are we not going to bash into each other? He's not going to think of that. I think if he's wise to the fact they're closing on Bartsch, he'll probably let Nieroda do the legwork, if you like, and he'll just go with it.
One day I'd like to see one of these kart championships where they can all talk to each other, you know, like you can on an online kind of battle. And we're sitting here thinking they've got some quiet discord going on, they've got some agreement, where in reality they could be cursing each other. And
Richard Jute, former winner, into the pits, and Richard Jute comes out of the pits. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting one, Spanners. Basically what would happen is you just plug all of the channels into the live feed and you wouldn't need a commentator, would you? It would commentate itself. There'd be a lot of bad language though, you'd need a bleeper on.
It would be post-watershed, James, yeah.
Oh yes. Right, meantime though, we've got Bartsch continuing with his lead, but that lead has definitely come down. We saw it go up over 2 seconds. It's now down to 1.5 seconds. Nieroda is definitely closing in, and Denooz is doing everything he can to stay with Nieroda. He's doing a very good job of that. It's about 1 kart length Nieroda to Denooz, and they are both catching Matt Bartsch. Spanners, I think we could see some fireworks here. How about a retake of that earlier lunge by Nieroda?
Now, timing screens confuse and anger me. What I've been looking at is where Bartsch is when these guys cross the finish line, and from there you can see, yeah, the gap has come down.
Yeah, and it's gone down again because Patryk Nieroda is the one who's fastest on the track. He's now down to a 33.1 lap time, whereas the best Bartsch can offer is a 33.3. And it's now down to 1.4 seconds. There's no question about it. Nieroda is definitely closing in visibly and on a timing basis. There's Bartsch, there's Nieroda, and there is Denooz. And looking at the screen there, we can see, well, that's Adam Davis going around. He's running 8th at the moment. But it's Bartsch. There's Bartsch in the lead, and there's Nieroda, and there's Denooz. And Nieroda is even trying to pull away from Denooz on catching Bartsch. It's down to 1.2. Spanners, this race ain't Bartsch's yet by any means.
No, not at all. This is one of those ones where you just don't want the clock to run out on the battle. But looking a bit further down, you're worried about Sturm holding everyone up, but he's managed to pull a gap, and it's a Pullan train at the moment.
Exactly. Well, Joris Sturm and Arrom Pullan and Jim Lovell have sort of equalised the distance, maybe. But yeah, Joris Sturm is definitely looking the more sort of believable there as getting away. He's got away in real terms, hasn't he? Because he's arguably, I mean, how close is he? He's 5 seconds away from Matt Bartsch, who's the leader. And Bartsch is now only 1.1 seconds ahead of Nieroda. Not only is this time coming down, it's coming down in big chunks.
So when does Bartsch suddenly go from trying to maintain that gap to starting to go defensive? We got yellow flags here?
We got a wheel. Is that off the cart or off the barrier? That's off the barrier, that's all right. The wheel has been removed. Oh, we saw that. Hang on, that is Joris Sturm. Joris Sturm with the problem, maybe? Or is he complaining about the fact that he stopped way before anyone else?
So it's a red flag now. We're on the red flag.
They can't stop where they are, but sometimes people feel that they're not being stopped in a sort of relevant place. So we'll see what the organisers do.
Well, we figure out what the organisers are doing, though. What's Bartsch going to do here? It's a very similar position to where he was.
Well, first of all, when those lights go green, he's going to have to make a lightning getaway, isn't he? He can't sit there, you know, looking at the lights. He's going to have to be flooring it on the lights.
Well, of course, the gap is exactly the same as it was on the roads.
It's theoretically about as exact as you want, plus or minus how sharp he is on the throttle.
You need to put your hand up in the air, even if you're not stopping immediately, to indicate that you fully intend to stop at any moment.
Well, maybe that. The organisers will actually replace him. As we can see, they're moving Joris Sturm into a position relevant. In fact, they're moving him ahead. Is the problem actually with his cart? No, are they just putting him into where they believe he should have been? Yes, they are, because there's Jim Lovell there, and there's Arrom Pullan, and we know that Joris Sturm was a reasonable way ahead. This is I suppose this is a little bit like, does the ball go back where it was when it gets cleaned in the snooker match?
Oh, a bit of snooker referencing. Yeah, if they miss getting out of the snooker and the referee puts it back, it's ruined now because they've got the camera overlay so they can get it exact. But I'm wheel counting, and I can't spot a kart with less than 4 wheels.
And certainly Joris Sturm, who's the one getting the attention, is definitely one with all the wheels necessary. He's got 4 actual wheels touching the ground and 1 steering wheel, so he's got a full score there.
Oh yeah, 5 wheels.
But Joris Sturm's making his way around. I think they're just telling him, you'd have been at the hairpin, mate. They're moving somebody back. That, interestingly, is the 3rd place, which is Phillipe Denooz. We know that Denooz, I mean, if you look at the timing, we've got, the timing's all there for anyone to see. So long as Bartsch is 1.1 seconds ahead of Nieroda, it's no problem. So long as Denooz is 1.1 seconds back from that, it's no problem. And Joris Sturm, of course, is, you know, 2.5 or so behind there. So I think they're just making sure they're relevant. Now, Nieroda there, we can see being moved in the 9. He should be bang in the middle of Bartsch versus,
Bartsch is arguing that he should be closer to the
right angle.
Yeah, he wants the apex.
Bartsch is looking for angle there. He wants minimum steering, and when that goes green, you just absolutely know he's going to light that thing up. Obviously, Nieroda's going to have to, and any difference now is going to be reaction to the restart. So this is very cagey here, but we have been looking at the times coming down, and it has to be said that Nieroda's got an awful lot of time left to do this. There's no lack of time for him to do it the way the times have come down. He was going to have Bartsch caught and be in a position to attack him with absolutely tons of time, maybe even 10 minutes or so to go. The lead was really coming down, Spanners. It was crazy.
It was going to come down to the pit stops. It was going to be fascinating, and still will be, because it's still back Nieroda to get onto the bumper of.
Yeah, I think Nieroda. Nieroda was looking pretty racy. Remember, he had that big old bump and bang with Bartsch, which caused the gap in the first place. So he's clearly not afraid to give it a go. And so Patryk Nieroda, you know, maybe he'll just sort of have a few shots at Bartsch before he even thinks about trying to pit round it. Obviously, the smart move would be to. If you know you're faster, to absolutely get him on the pit stops, but well, you know, Patryk Nieroda, he's looking racy, and maybe he'll try and do it purely on merit.
Well, we've got to start looking at where Nieroda would pop back out at this point in a pit stop, haven't we?
Well, yeah, we're finding that generally by the time it's... Oh, yeah, Jim Lovell is in the pits now. He's an early pit stopper. He's pitted out of 8th. Now, that's going to give the advantage to Jute and Conway. Jim Lovell there is going to exit the pits in 10th. But of course he's made that stop. Now, we normally allow for 10 seconds being a blinder, 11 being good, 12 being all right, but then working backwards from there. Jim Lovell, as well, his was about a 12-second stop, just under 12, so he'll be all right with that one. It won't be a problem. And as they cycle through the pit stop, another pit stop, we've got someone else coming in, and it's the 19 there. The 19, of course, is Ben Churchill. Now, we can look at the screen here, we can see when the green light flashes, it's half the time the driver's already moving. That's how fine they're trying to cut these beams. It's vital to get a good pit stop. They're losing so much time. But look at this, Matt Bartsch, 0.08 to Nieroda. Nieroda is absolutely all over him now. It's going to be even closer now. It's a kart length almost. It's been slashed. It's less than half a second, Spanners.
Yeah, he's right on him. The timing is irrelevant now, thankfully, because I was struggling to follow that. But yeah, they are bumper to bumper. So now it's going to be a case of Bartsch controlling the pace, looking in his virtual mirrors, as it were. And
Arrom Pullan pits out of 5th place. Arrom Pullan, it was up to 5th. He'd only really benefited from 1 pit stop. So that's Adam Davis has now come up from dead last to 5th, and Richard Jute is in 5th. Conway now, in fact, Pullen's dropped all the way back down to 9th, but he has got that pit stop in hand. So he'll be just leapfrogging people, hopefully from his point of view, as they come in. Quite what his reasoning was for that pit stop, not sure. Very often at this stage, pitting this point would be to get out of the way of a problem, which we may see with Nieroda. You know, we were talking earlier, will he pit or will he fight? Nieroda's been listed as 0.3 of a second behind the leader, but in real terms, he's just all over him.
They're touching. They were touching as they came out onto the back straight.
Look at Bartsch go defensive. He's to the left down the backstretch. Nieroda takes the normal line. Bartsch is already having to commit to unnatural lines here to try and hold Nieroda off. Now, Bartsch, if he is genuinely slower, he can't really afford to pit, because that would allow Nieroda to just pull away in the distance and make matters even worse. Best thing he can do is keep on holding up Nieroda and hope Nieroda isn't tempted to throw it in the pits and then try and leapfrog him by doing some fast laps in clear air. As you said, where will Nieroda come out if he pitted now? And the answer is in absolutely clear air behind Joris Sturm and ahead of Adam Davis.
You've got to say the ball is in Nieroda's court, and you see Bartsch going defensive there at the end of the back straight. So he's having to sacrifice pace. So I can't see him getting away. This situation isn't going to change until someone either makes a move or makes a pit.
Absolutely, and Nieroda's got every card he wants to play with. The trouble is he's got Denooz who's now closing in on. It's definitely Bartsch is the slower of the three. I think we could see Nieroda pit out of this one.
And they are coming up to the back of Conway, who's leading a 4-kart train.
Exactly, that's a big consideration, isn't it? I mean, they've got a little bit of a way because they're down the backstretch. We can see on the TV screen they're quite clear. They have actually got probably getting on for at least a third of a lap before they're worried about him. But I reckon it won't be long before one of these two, second or third, Nieroda is in the pits. It would be logical at this stage. They're both quicker than Bartsch, and neither of them are really doing anything for the other. And the longer they stay there, the longer they suffer. This plays into Bartsch's hands when they stay there. It plays into their hands when they pit if they can't just drive by him.
Maybe they have time. Maybe it's not as urgent as we think. As in
9.5 minutes.
It's only these three involved in the battle. I don't think anyone else is going to come up and bother them. So.
Maybe not. Let's have a look at the lap times. We've got Bartsch with his recent laps. Bartsch's recent laps, his last lap was 33.6. Let's have a look further back there. No, we've got people doing 33.6 further back there. Bartsch is by far, not the quickest person here. He's at the speed of those who are in that nasty little group that you're worried about with the Conway team back there. He's kind of doing their area of lap times.
Interesting. Well, Denooz could also obviously be a spanner in the works. Don't like that word being a negative, but he's not only got the opportunity to have a go at Nieroda, if he pits, it's going to force Nieroda's hand because he's losing pace.
Absolutely. One of them needs to pit now, I would have said, from a competition point of view. Nieroda's waving to somebody, so obviously his team have said something to him. Sorry, yeah, that's right, Denooz. Denooz in third place there it was, who was waving almost like a confirmation, like, yes, I've got it. So maybe he will be in this time. He's dropped back a little bit, which is strange considering he sort of pulled back up to him. It's not that Bartsch has gone any quicker. Denooz lost some time somewhere. Will Denooz be pitting this time? It could well be. Denooz is coming in. So they're coming now towards the pit entry. There's Bartsch, there's Nieroda. Now this could stuff Denooz up if Nieroda pits. But it is Denooz who's come in. He saw the message and he got it. Here he is. This is very important. Now, if Patryk Nieroda spends too much time behind Bartsch without pitting, this almost forces Nieroda to pit in my book, because Denooz could well leapfrog the pair of them and take the win for himself.
I think Denooz had to lift to avoid a penalty there, but I think to answer your question of him falling back, I think he just had that much pace in hand, but just not enough to get past.
And looking at the lap time spanners, you're right in what you said, but it's worked out okay for him. He is just inside 11 seconds on the pit stop, and none of these are going to be quicker. Now here's Patryk Nieroda. Whoa, a bit stabby stopping there. He pulled the cart around.
He had to take a second bite of the brakes at the first
maybe
markers.
This is going to cost him. Maybe this is actually Denooz's race. But anyway, let's see what Nieroda. It's wrong to rule out Nieroda at any point in the proceedings, and we'll see what he's done. Yeah, that was a quick one. It wasn't quite as snappy as...
I think they were both slow, in fairness. So
yeah,
it looked like Denooz also had to take a second stab at the second marker on his pit. But surely Bartsch has got to respond now.
Bartsch absolutely needs to respond. In fact, Bartsch needed to respond the moment he was getting hauled in.
He stayed out.
He stayed out, but is he coming up towards somebody? Is there anyone going to be in his way? That's the question. That's the only reason why he would want to pit now. He's not really near that battle, as there's a lot of time between him. They're coming down that back stretch, and he's not even onto it yet. So he still is a good third of a lap behind the Calum Conway led fight, which is coming across the line. So give some perspective. There's Conway crossing the line, followed by that fight, which has now completed the start line. Bartsch is nowhere near the line yet.
Unless Bartsch thinks that
here is Bartsch crossing the line now, so that's the kind of indication of what's the time we're talking about here. He's got plenty of time in hand, I think. None of them are going slow. They're not going any slower than him in real terms. We're all on 33 seconds, so I don't think he's going to catch him anytime soon. It's just about how he feels, really. The one thing, of course, that must be on his mind is what happened in the previous race. He blew it by not coming in. So, if anything, he needs to make sure he stops in time.
I would have thought, seeing how quickly those guys behind him closed the gap, that once he saw them pit...
He's in.
Yeah, there we go.
Matt Bartsch takes the pits and the green light is on.
I think
now
that's perfect.
This needs to be good. Nieroda possibly is going to jump in. Where is
Perfect.
Nieroda? Here comes
Perfect.
Nieroda. Bartsch is going to come out with the lead. The unthinkable has happened. Bartsch has managed to maintain the lead. There's Nieroda. There's Denooz. Obviously, we're seeing Joris Sturm listed as the leader, but he's yet to pit. So in real terms, it is still the lead for Bartsch. Nieroda must be wondering, what has he got to do? He does the best pit stop he can. So does Denooz. But still, somehow, Bartsch manages to stay in the lead with 5.5 minutes remaining.
So staring down at the pit lane, it did look like Bartsch delivered a perfect pit stop. Bum out the seat and everything, whereas Nieroda had to take a second stab at the brakes on his first marker, and Denooz had to take his foot off the pedal on his second marker.
And looking at what we've been considering a good time loss, you know, how long the lap is when they've made the pit stop, Spanners, it must be said really that there wasn't really much wrong with Nieroda or Denouz's stops. It was that Bartsch has just pulled an absolute blinder off. He might not be as fast as them on the track, but he sure can do it in the pit lane. That's the thing there.
So now then, Nieroda, you have to gamble. If we were going to be gambling men, we would say that there will be a move coming somewhere from one of those back teams.
Of course, the last time we saw Nieroda try a move, it was right here, and it didn't end well. And so maybe Nieroda needs to find a different spot, or at least not have the entire field backed up behind him, you know, shoving him forward. So we'll see what Nieroda can do here, but the fact is simple. Here's Bartsch, here's Nieroda, here's Denooz, and that simple fact is Nieroda and Denooz will have to pass Bartsch on the track. They've all made their pit stops. They cannot rely anymore on any kind of strategy. It's all about simple outbraking here. Someone's going to have to take a pretty massive lunge. It's probably going to be Nieroda.
I don't know. I fancy Denooz to be the one that mixes it up at the moment, because Nieroda's there limited by Bartsch's bumper, whereas Nieroda can take a bit more of a run in the places he knows that those two are holding each other up.
And an outrageous lunge by Denooz on Nieroda that actually causes a problem would play into Bartsch's hands perfectly, wouldn't it? And he would be home and dry with the win. But at the moment it's looking cagey. He's having to use every bit of experience that he's got, is Matt Bartsch. He's been a front runner in the international scene for a long time now, but right on his bumper across the line, literally pushing him across the line, is Patryk Nieroda. And Phillipe Denooz is within striking distance of Nieroda. The thing is that we've seen flags given for and penalties for bad passes. Nieroda can't really do anything silly, particularly as he nearly drop-kicked Bartsch out the event going in on the first lap.
To be honest though, Nieroda looks like he's about to get in the passenger seat of Bartsch's car. He's certainly not given up.
Oh, not by a long shot. He's going to do something here. I don't think this race is over by any means, and I think Bartsch knows that too. He knows that something's coming, probably from Nieroda, possibly from you know, Phillipe Denooz.
Looks like nothing's changed really with Conway as well. He looked like he'd lost a place. In fact, no, he managed to come out ahead of Churchill, and they've now got a bit of a 5-car train going at the back there.
Absolutely, that is effectively half the race. Luckily for the leaders, that train is going fast enough that there's no way they're going to catch it before the end of the race. Just under 3 minutes remaining. So these guys are clear to fight for the lead unimpaired. Conway's leading Churchill, Lovell, Davis and Pullan, and that's not going to change.
Well, Lovell's just had a lunge down the inside of Churchill, actually, as it happened right through that twisty section as well. Very audacious move. You can't get past cleanly here. You do have to rub a little bit of plastic, don't you?
Absolutely, and Lovell's made it stick. Lovell has actually made it stick, because that's him in the 20 who is following across the line now, Calum Conway. So Jim Lovell has moved himself up to 7th place there with that desperate lunge, but it's all happening down the backstretch, and so defensive there by Matt Bartsch. He's blocking Nieroda out as best he can. Nieroda couldn't go too far with Bartsch because Denooz would have had him.
This has been the same lap after lap. Bartsch is making sure he takes that inside line. He does not want a Nieroda width gap to his left-hand side down the backstretch.
Absolutely right there, Spanners. That couldn't be closer to the truth. That is absolutely spot on, and they're getting closer to having that situation reoccur. Will we see a similar run down the backstretch? They're coming away onto that long, fast corner. Now they're onto the backstretch. This is where it could happen. Look at Denooz. He's the only one on the actual racing line. Can he do something around the outside? Can he cut back to the inside? No, he can't. It's Sturm in the pits. Joris Sturm is in the pits there. The 12, that's the leader. Surely he's going to get past. He gets dropped down to 4th place. So this is now the actual battle for the lead. Joris Sturm leaving it very late for the pit stop there. But it is Bartsch who's going to have to do absolutely everything. Bartsch could well hang on to this, but by heck, has he got a fight on his hands?
I think Bartsch seems like he's more or less in control. He understands where he's losing pace, and he's trying to make as much trouble for Nieroda, particularly here, as possible.
Oh, absolutely, Spanish. He's, I mean, this is almost the textbook defensive drive, isn't it? Bartsch knows he's driving as fast as he can, and it's not enough to deal with Nieroda, so it's like that textbook's gone out the window. So it's all offline work, be as awkward as possible work, and I think it's kind of helped a little bit by the fact that Denooz is there, because surely in the back of his mind, Nieroda knows that whatever he doesn't pull off, Denooz is going to jump all over.
This is actually out of the 2018 Chris Danes handbook, isn't it? Stick yourself on pole, then make a nuisance of yourself for the whole race.
Oh, I mean, he's been a thorough pain there, is Bartsch, isn't he? He's far from the fastest of this trio, but he's in the right place, and that's first place.
Mind you, I'm not going to be too critical of Danes. Have you seen the beard?
It's the flag, and Bartsch takes it, and Nieroda second, Denooz third. So what a win there by Matt Bartsch, and Matt Bartsch has withstood tremendous pressure there to win that race. He had Nieroda on his case. He had Nieroda virtually punting him out of the race on the opening lap, but somehow Matt Bartsch, he built up a lead, lost that lead in Centauri, managed a blistering pit stop, and what a way to come back there. So Matt Bartsch, a worthy result there. He really fought for that win, but what a show there by Patryk Nieroda and Phillipe Denooz, because what they've managed to do is to put themselves all over the back of Bartsch, and they were in the best position, should it have arisen, to be able to do something about the race leader. Such was Bartsch's defence, though. They couldn't do anything. That was the textbook effort there by Bartsch. That is how to win when you're not fastest. So, they're coming in the pits. They're just getting out the carts now, and we're going to be switching over for the next set of the next heat race. But what a run there. Matt Bartsch is surely going to be very relieved. He, of course, picked up a huge and potentially, you know, out of the competition costly penalty in the earlier race, and the only way he could respond to that was by winning, and that's exactly what he's done. So Matt Bartsch, the Polish ace, has managed to pull the unthinkable out of the bag. By no means was he in the quickest either kart driver combination down there with Nieroda and Denooz, but he managed to do enough to make it happen for him. So that is what champions are made of. Right, we're going down to Spanish.
My last race, it's very strange for me.
Hi, I'm in the pit lane with the race winner there, Matt Bartsch. A great recovery. You stuck it on pole, but is it fair to say, I mean, we were betting against you a little bit because those guys were catching you so fast?
Yeah, my kart isn't be very fast, so I know I must make a very good qualification, so I do it. It's the maximum of the speed, and in the race, my kart, I feel my kart have a very slow acceleration, so my opponent can catch me on the straights, of course, so I must make a safety exiting on entering to the corners, and all will be good. So I'm very happy. So this is back to the game. I have one race more today, so I think so will be the same.
From a tactical point of view, though, you saw the guys were faster behind you. You saw them both pit. Like, you weren't to know that they both made slight errors in their pit stop, but yours was just perfect.
Yeah. For me, entering to the pit, this is the best, because on the practice sessions are working about it. So finally in the race I can do it. So I know during the race, so my opponent make a pit stop, so I have only one lap to make it, and I do it. So I'm happy to exiting for the first position, the finish of the race. So I control my position.
Very hard work for you, but you did it. You pushed it through. What a grafting win there from Matt Bartsch. Thank you very much. Back up to you, James.
Absolutely right there, Spanish. That was an amazing result there by Matt Bartsch. It has to be said, that was writing the textbook on how to win defensively there. He was doing everything he could to maximise what he had. Didn't give anything away. More importantly, managed to hold off Nieroda, who we know is a pretty tough customer. He's going to give it a go. We saw that on the first lap. Phillipe Denooz was sniffing potentially what could have been an incredible victory there. So the people behind Bartsch had a lot to really shoot for, and they were clearly willing to shoot for it. But Matt Bartsch there, absolutely textbook. He has just written the textbook on how to defensively win an indoor kart race. Absolutely outstanding there from the Polish ace. So next up, we got everyone ready for the 7th heat, and this time, gosh, this is going to be a bit serious. We've got Sam Spineel, the dual British-Belgian nationality. He's heading the list here. We've got Johan Medart, 3rd in the championship last year. Ben Bennyworth, Andrew Duff, Dean Hale. What a sort of race did we see from Dean Hale earlier on.